Hi folks! Hey, a lot of people have been noticing that my trailer is a little taller than it used to be. And it may not look too tall right at the moment because I've put 15-inch wheels on it. 15-inch tires and wheels, and I put on 225 tires. So they're quite a bit wider, quite a bit taller, which lift up the trailer even more. And I'll show you what I did to lift up the trailer. I took it to a welding shop, and I had a real good welder, big operation welding shop, does all sorts of welding, makes things for companies, fixes trucks, does all sorts of things. But he was kind enough to agree to do a change to the frame. I really wanted the whole frame strengthened up, but because of the way the Aliner is put together, it's got a angle bracket on the door side to try to strengthen it. We couldn't remove that and put in a piece. The frame's a little beefied up, but it's also raised up about 6 inches. So I'll show you that. I have taken this trailer into a lot of places it should not go, and so it's been kind of beat up, but it hasn't really had any damage or anything, so it's really a tough little trailer. But I want to be able to go four-wheeling in more extreme areas in the mountains here in Tennessee, North Carolina, Alabama, Georgia. There's some really nice places I want to be able to visit. And then if I decide to take it out west, it still folds down. It's still a low profile behind the car, so I'm not worried about any of that. But there are what they call overlanding trailers, which are trailers that are all steel and made to go on really rugged roads. I don't think they're any more rugged than this. With the torsion axle on this and the downward angle from the wheel on the torsion axle, there's a lot of clearance on that axle. Way more than half the distance on the wheel. Normally you'd have clearance that's less than half the distance because you'd have a pumpkin on the axle, or you'd have the axle going straight across. This has more than that because it's down from the axle. The wheel is actually down. So let me show you. This is the original frame, and this is the original holder for the axle, and we added this piece all welded across here, and then we added a new holder piece, this piece down here, to bolt the axle to. Now there are lifts you can buy through various companies where they put the bolt up through here, and instead of being a square piece, they use an angle iron up here, which I have been told has a little more movement to it, has a little flex to it. I like this a little better. He did a nice job on this. Put the bolts in there just the way it was when the axle was up here on the top. It is welded on both ends, so it does strengthen up the frame a little bit. But the problem he was worried about is that these are gas lines and electrical lines, and he didn't want to get too close to them. And so on the other side, it's pretty much the same. He did the same thing over there, as you can see. But as you can see, from the top of the axle to the top of the original frame is just about 5 inches. And then the increase in tire size adds another 2 inches. So I've got a 7-inch rise on this trailer now. One of the problems that causes is the stabilizers no longer are long enough. The stabilizer is at its maximum extension right there, and you can see it's not touching the ground. The trailer isn't totally flat. It's up on a block, and that's the other thing. The front jack does not get it off the trailer hitch if I'm on a completely level surface. So I've put together some boards I can use to keep the trailer done, and I gotta fix those boards so the wheel can't roll off it, because one of the problems with the wheel being up like that is if it rolls off, it's a big thunk and damaging to the trailer. But I've got to change these stabilizers, and I thought maybe I'd show you how I do that. It's a pretty easy, simple job. I've already done the back ones, and these are bought off Amazon, of course. They're the same exact stabilizers. They are Bale C channel stabilizers, and I've changed the ones in the back. The ones in the front are 17 inches for that long rod there, and these ones are 24 inches. Let me show you the difference between that. So there are the new ones next to the old ones, and you can see they're quite a bit longer. This piece right here is 17 inches. This one here is 24 inches. You can get them all the way up to 30 inches, but I didn't need that much. They tell you what size you need based on how high the trailer is off the ground. They have recommendations, so that's nice. Let me show you how you put those on. It's really pretty easy. And this, of course, isn't a very hard job. Anybody with a decent Tupperware box of tools can do it. That's all I've got at the moment. and a nice rug to lay on while you're underneath the trailer. It's all in motivation, folks. All in motivation. And the first things you have to do is take off the foot, because it's just easier while it's on here. If you have one of these feet, if you don't have one of these feet, you don't have to worry about it. I didn't have it when I first got the trailer. You always have to have the proper tools. Let me move you over here so I can see what I'm doing and you're not in the sun. So this has 2 screws on either side up in the front. And for mine, it's an 11 millimeter bolt, little tiny bolt. I had to use an adapter. There we go. Got that out of there. And you got to loosen these bolts, these tiny little bolts. I have a long extension here, just because it makes it a little easier. One back here that we'll get. So for this one, we're going to a 3/8 for this little bolt. And I'm just loosening them, and then we go for the power tools. And there it is. So these 2 things go into your bumper, really, or in the front, your front frame. And then you've got one in the back that goes into the main frame. Now, 2 tricks I've learned putting up the new one is, first of all, don't leave it laying in the sun before you decide to do it. This is hot as all get out. The second is, I was thinking I could maybe hold it up there with my floor jack, but then I thought, hey, you know what? It is a jack. So I just opened it up with the drill. And if you don't have one of these drill things to work on these things, you're wasting a lot of time, because it makes it a lot easier to get these up and down. But this size, since I already had jacks in here, well, these holes are the same because it's the same width and everything. It's just the back is longer, so the back I'm going to have to drill a hole or put these are self-tapping screws, so they will go in all by themselves. It's just a little bit of work, but so I will put this in the same holes that I had before. Now it's a little rusty where they were, but not bad. It's just surface rust, and I'm not going to do anything with it because I'm lazy, and it's the trailer's 11 years old, and if you know it hasn't got any real rust there in all this time, I think it's going to be fine for another 10 years. It's going to take at least another 10 years to rust through, so I'm not going to worry about it. I may throw some paint on it once I get this all together at another time. But right now I'm just trying to get this up. Keel has got a doctor's appointment in 40 minutes, so I need to get this done. I want to show you guys how to do it. So that's almost the right height, so I can screw those on with the bolts. And now the back end, which did have this spacer here, so we're going to leave the spacer in there. And the screw had a washer for some reason or another. There's the screw, and we're off. See? Now I've got some metal shrods on me, but that's in there good. And that's how you put those on. Now, the way these feet go on is that this is tapered back here in the back. So you slide this, there's no front or back. You just slide this from the back forward, and it kind of grabs when it gets to the spot, oops, where it's supposed to be. And you just slide this bolt through one side, just slide it through like that, and you gotta line up the other side. And then on mine, you gotta hold the nut. You gotta hold the bolt with the pliers. And, whoops! Stop doing that. And you bring it up, but you don't want it stiff. You want it so it moves. So then you have to back it off a little bit. And then it moves good now. So that's all you do to put those things on there. They're not too hard. Get a better look. See, that bolt just goes through there. You can see it going through the middle on either side. Alright, so that's how you do those, and that's real nice. I could hide stuff up in there, I guess. So that is how you install or remove or change your stabilizers. If you don't have them, you probably need them. And if some of the old trailers only came with 2 of them, and if you want to put ones on the front, just get the same size you had in the back, and they'll be good. So easy to do. All right, let's move on to something different now. Anytime I hook up the camper to the car, I always take a walk around it at least twice. Once when it's up to make sure everything goes down, and then once when it's hooked up and everything's locked and down, make sure everything's closed up and make sure everything's working right. And then just before I drive away, I make sure all the lights work, flashers, brakes, all that. And on this trailer today, I noticed that this light is not working. So I'm gonna find out what's going on with it. And these lights on my trailer, and this is a 2008, they just have these little pins here, and you can just push these in and then drag that off, and it comes off pretty easy. Now, I noticed that inside here there's evidence that it's been underwater. So that may be why the bulb is no good. If I pull the bulb off of there, you can see the bulb is dead. So it's a no good bulb. Now I'm gonna take this inside and I'm gonna clean all this stuff out, scrub it up pretty good. And you can see that it's supposed to be backup lights or this, well, this is a license plate light right here. And this is supposed to be for your backup lights, but the backup lights on these trailers usually don't work. But to help let the water out, I'm gonna drill a hole right here. Not a big hole, but a pretty good size hole. So right in the middle, there's actually a dimple there. I wonder if that's what that was for. But and hopefully that'll let the water out. These are double poles. That's your brake lights and running lights. One's the brake, one's your running lights. And we're gonna put that in there. I also have backup lights in here that are LEDs that are single pole. The backup light is a single pole, single contact. Put a new one of these in here. And this is the lower light. And that also, because the running light is also your trailer license plate light. So there's that. And that's all you have to do. It's really pretty easy. No big stress to do that. That's all there is to making sure your light bulbs are working. So if you burn out a light bulb or you have a light bulb that's out, stop right away. I got the bulb in the drugstore, I think. You can get them at any auto parts. You can get them in Walmart or any of the big stores like that. But keep your lights running because you need good lights. All right? Hint for the day. Don't forget to subscribe. I'm coming back from the Aliner rally next week. I'll have a lot of good videos for that. Keep in touch and see what's going on with me and Aquila. We'll see how he does with an Aliner rally where the firewood isn't just little sticks, it's great big chopped up logs. So that'll be interesting. All right, thanks for coming along. Bye bye.